Now try to,
Okay, try now.
yeah.
Yep, there we go.
All right, good.
Thank you.
All right. All right. All right. I'll see you in a few. Okay. Bye.
Did you have to close out an old one?
Good. All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission's regular scheduled meeting for Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021, for 7:30 p.m. This is an online virtual meeting. We're going to open up with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody could please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United
of the
States
United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible, with
liberty,
liberty
and
and justice for all.
Thanks, everybody. So we're going to start with the roll call. I believe Mary is not here. And Josh Dykstra, are you here? No, so that means we're, Pete, you're going to kick it off.
Pizza Brass.
John Kerwin told me he probably was not going to make it. Dave Sauter,
Pat Coachella.
Dan
Brett,
Wall.
Brett Olbrys,
Jesse Schremer.
Jessica Pennell.
Steve McGarry.
hi, Steve, thank you.
Kevin McSherry.
Evan, welcome, thank you. I think that covers everybody. Let's see here. So there are no alternates present to seat, but we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 commissioners. So we do have enough on hand for the meeting itself. So we're good there. So no alternates. Roll call done. Public hearings, recessed public hearings. We don't have any. New public hearings are none. Future public hearings are none. And then moving on to the regular meeting business. Amendments to the agenda. Were there any to the amendments to the agenda tonight?
No.
None, okay. And the audience of citizens, is there anybody in attendance that would like to bring up something with the commission that is not listed on the agenda? Again, to all those folks in attendance, is there anything you'd like to bring up to the commission regarding any items that are not listed on the agenda? And going one more time to the audience of citizens, is there anybody in attendance who would like to bring up anything to the commission that is not currently on the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to correspondence. And Jess, I know, was there any direct correspondence that came in that had to get read in?
No.
No, I know we had the one,
We have one letter that has to be read in at the appropriate time.
that's what I was thinking. It would fall into that other category. Exactly. Thank you, Pat. Okay, carrying on to old business matters upon which a public hearing was held. There weren't any. And then old business other matters. We're going to be looking at Z21-012 3 Woodruff Hill Road, also known as Lot 5, owner Town of Oxford, 486 Oxford Road, Oxford, Connecticut. Applicant Oxford Enterprises LLC, 20 Old Country Road, Oxford, Connecticut. And we've been discussing also in tandem Z21-013 7 Woodruff Hill Road, also known as Lot 6, the owner Town of Oxford, 486 Oxford Road, Oxford, Connecticut. Applicant Oxford Enterprises LLC, 20 Old Country Road in Oxford. So I think the first order regarding these is referencing to what Pat just alluded to. We have a letter that was received regarding these applications that probably should be read in upfront. Pat, you want to run with that part?
March 1st, 2021, Town Land Use Office, Oxford Town Hall, 46 Oxford Road. Referencing land use applications, lots 5 and 6, Woodruff Hill Industrial Park, tax map 25, block 22, lots 13-5 and 13-6, number 3 and number 7, Woodruff Hill Road. To whom it may concern, due to a clerical error, the application and site plan that have previously been submitted under the name Oxford Enterprises LLC actually need to be revised to the name Oxford Industries LLC. Attached, please find a revised set of site plans with a revision date of 2/25/21 with the corrected applicant's name to be included in the file for both the Conservation Commission and the Inland Wetlands Agency and the Planning and Zoning Commission. If the Conservation Commission, Inland Wetlands Agency, or the Planning and Zoning Commission has any questions regarding the above mentioned project, they may contact Brian Baker, PD of Civil One. If you need to contact me directly, I can be contacted at and phone number. Very truly, Darren Burchard, applicant.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, before we talk about the old business, I wanted to just ask, talk to the commission real quick about this letter that we received. Thank you. I'm glad we got the revised set of site plans. I think that's helpful. What I wanted to just discuss briefly with the commission is regarding the actual applications themselves. Do we need new applications representing Oxford Industries, or could we entertain a motion to amend the current applications and append this letter to the application so there's a permanent record?
Pending, any legal implications, I think a vote to amend would work, unless there's a legal reason we cannot do that.
I would agree. This is Dan. I thought the same thing, Pat.
I'm amenable to that.
Kevin, you're here. Do you? I'm sure that we haven't seen this happen that frequently, but in this type of scenario, does that seem like the right course of action to follow instead of having to start?
Yes, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. It's been my experience that occasionally mid-process names do change. This is apparently just a Scrivener's error, it happens. And it certainly can be corrected by a motion by the commission to reference the letter that Pat just read, and reference that letter, accept the name change, and as referenced in that letter, and vote on that. If the commission votes to do that, the applicant will be that name forever going forward.
Perfect. Does anybody else on the commission have any discussion on that, or ideas or thoughts?
Yeah, I have a question. Are these lots, are they registered under the name of the industrial, or is it registered under the other name?
Well, right now, they're still owned by the town of Oxford, but once the sale goes through, they will be sold to Oxford Industries LLC.
Okay.
Hearing no other discussion on the topic of the change in application name, I'm going to say this carefully. I would entertain a motion to amend application Z21-012, changing the applicant to Oxford Industries LLC, 20 Old Country Road, Oxford, Connecticut, and applying the same change to application Z-21-013, 7 Woodruff Hill Road, also known as Lot 6, Oxford Industries LLC, 20 Old Country Road, Oxford. Would anybody like to make a motion to make that change?
So be it.
Second?
Second.
Okay, so Pat and Dan, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so that takes care of the correspondence and Oxford Industries now for this, and we have to remember that when we note that going forward. And Jess, if you can make sure that that letter is appended to both applications, I think we'll be in good shape.
Will do.
Thank you. So the next topic of conversation for the commission now is going to be the actual applications themselves. The way we had left it off at the last meeting, Attorney McSherry was going to be drafting resolutions that was going to include language regarding the easement, which everybody was agreeable to as a condition of approval at the last meeting. Is there anything else that the commission would like to discuss regarding the applications, questions for the applicants who are here, anything along those lines?
Yeah, I have a question for him, Dave.
Okay, you're recognized.
On these new industry blueprints we have, when we were talking about the scale the last time, on these blueprints here, you have 2 scales now. Is that what it's going to be, 2 scales?
Yeah, so what we made the revision, we pushed the scales slightly further into the lot. So now we added a scale. So now there's an inbound scale and an outbound scale. We pushed them into the lot slightly further. So now there's room for queuing of 2 trucks behind the scale. And then we separated the scales with a 12-foot lane. So there's a bypass lane. So even if you had trucks on both scales, there's room for people to get in and out of the site and not be stuck out on the road. So in accordance with the recommendation from the last meeting and discussions with Darren, this will work well for his operation and provide plenty of room for queuing of trucks as they're waiting if they need to, and then have a bypass lane to go between them at any given time.
All right, another question. You think 6 foot between the scales is enough room for a truck to go through?
It's
6 feet, 'cause that's what you have left, right? Would be 6 foot.
12 foot clear between them.
12 foot,
Yeah.
okay. And one other thing, Commissioner Curran brought up at the last meeting about the driveways, that he said that there should have been, or there is a regulation stating that there should be a driveway per lot for 5 and 1 for 6. And I believe you said you were gonna put another driveway in up at the top?
No, what we agreed to is I believe the discussion was not to speak for the other commissioner. Discussion was they wanted to make sure that the easement was indeed formally put in place. So that does give access to lot 6 out to the road. So even though the lots would be under the same ownership, we will be filing an easement for one lot over the other. So it has legal access out to the road.
All right. Okay, thank you.
And to the rest of the commission, that was my recollection as well too, which is why we wanted to make sure the easement was put in as a condition of approval. Does anybody else have a different recollection than that?
No, that was my recollection as well, Dave.
Okay, great, thanks. I just want to make sure that I have my ducks lined up in a row too. Are there any other questions that the commission would like to put out there for discussion, or to the applicants, which are both present?
Nothing here. What we just spoke about was it, really.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, when I was going through the statement of use, there was the statement of use on the lot 3, or number 3 property. There was a number that said it's 11,600 square feet. And it seemed to say there's another 1,400 square feet that was office space in the building. I just wanted the applicant to be clear the total square footage of that smaller building, what that is, because it wasn't clear when you read the language. It seemed to be 11,600 plus the additional.
No, it's 11,600 total, and of that 1,400 is office space.
So it's contained in that.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm sorry, when I read it, I couldn't, lawyers are jerks, but I couldn't say, oh no, let's just leave it out.
That's what
That's the way it
happened.
goes, okay.
I always warn my clients, this is what happened when you ask engineers to write your letters.
It was a good letter. I was proud of you, don't worry.
Thanks.
That was it, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Great, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So not hearing anything else from the commission, then at this time, Attorney McSherry did draft resolutions for both applications, which we would have to make sure that we're reading incorrectly as for Oxford Industries versus Oxford Enterprises. But at this time, I would entertain a motion for application Z21-012. Pat?
Yep, I have it here. Okay. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission has received application Z-21-012 for a site plan. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the application a regularly scheduled meeting, public hearing on February 2nd, 2021 and February 16th, 2021. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the following maps and documents, all drawn or prepared by Civil One within their deliberations, which I'm not going to list them all. You should have them in the documentation. And the applicant's statement of use dated 1/21/2021. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the following correspondence: letters from Town Engineer Navis Young dated 2/8/2021, letter from Civil One dated 2/10/2021. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the following approval: Conservation Commission approval IW application 20-116. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the Town of Oxford application Z-21-012 and finds the application conforms to all requirements of the Oxford zoning regulations and is therefore approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, compliance with all Town of Oxford regulations and ordinance in effect as of this date. 2, no substitute materials can be used without approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission engineer. 3, the applicant will be required to pay all costs of special consultants or studies as deemed necessary by the commission at any time during the period from initial review through inspection and final acceptance of any improvements. 4, the applicant and their assigns must comply with all representation made at Planning and Zoning Commission meetings or at public hearings regarding this application. 5, the applicant shall submit one complete copy of the set of plans which reflects these conditions of approval with a copy of the conditions of approval attached. 6, no work to be done until security is set by the Planning and Zoning Commission engineer in a form acceptable to town council and installed by the applicant. 7, the specific uses on this property shall be limited to those designated within the statement of use submitted by the applicant. 8, the applicant shall have a pre-construction meeting with appropriate town staff prior to any construction activities. 9, sedimentation and erosion control measures on site shall be maintained in compliance with the proposed site plan and current guidelines subject to field review by the commission's engineer. 10, it is the responsibility of the owner applicant to ensure capability of communications with the fire department and EMS. The site plan approval expires if work is not completed within 5 years from the date of approval. 12, 3 Woodruff Hill Road, Lot 5 shall be encumbered by an easement in favor of 7 Woodruff Hill Road, Lot 6, for the purpose of egress and ingress in a form approved by the town attorney and recorded mortgage financing on 3 Woodruff Hill Road. The site plan approval expires on, and I don't have my calculator, whatever the appropriate date is.
Thank you very much, Pat. So we have a motion out there. Do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Pete. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Pat, are you up for the second one, or would you like a second reader?
If somebody else would like to, they can.
Somebody have it handy, they want to volunteer?
Nope. All right.
No. I'll nominate somebody.
I don't know if I have it, Dave. If I had it, I wouldn't mind reading it.
Yeah, same here. I don't think I have it.
Okay.
All right. I'll take.
Pat's the best at it.
I tried, Pat. I really do.
If I had it, I would have done it.
I need the exercise. Z-21-013-7 Lot 6 Woodruff Hill Industrial Park, AKA 7 Woodruff Hill Road, owner Town of Oxford, applicant Oxford Enterprises, which is wrong. Right? It's Oxford Industries now.
Yep.
Oxford Industries. Site plan phase 1, construction of a 26 150 square foot building. Okay, whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission have received application Z-21-013 for a site plan. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered this application a regularly scheduled meeting, public hearing on February 2nd, 2021 and February 16th, 2021. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the following maps and documents all drawn or prepared by Civil One within their deliberations, and there's a complete list, which I'm not going to say. The applicant's statement of use dated 1/21/2021. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the following correspondence: letter from town engineer Nafis Young dated 2/8/2021, letter from Civil One dated 2/10/2021. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the following approval: Conservation Commission approval IW application 20-117. Whereas the Oxford Planning and Zoning Commission considered the town of Oxford application Z-21-013 and finds the application conforms to all requirements of the Oxford zoning regulations and is therefore approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, compliance with all town of Oxford regulations and ordinances in effect as of this date. 2, no substitute materials shall be used without approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission and the Planning and Zoning Commission engineer. 3, the applicant will be required to pay all costs of special consultants or studies as deemed necessary by the commission at any time during the period from initial review through inspection and final acceptance of any improvements. 4, the applicant and their assigns must comply with all representations made at Planning and Zoning Commission meetings or at public hearings regarding this application. 5, the applicant shall submit one complete copy of the set of plans which reflects these conditions of approval with a copy of the conditions of approval attached. 6, no work to be done until security is set by the Planning and Zoning Commission engineer in a form acceptable to town council and installed by the applicant. 7, the specific uses on this property shall be limited to those designated within the statement of use submitted by the applicant. 8, the applicant shall have a pre-construction meeting with appropriate town staff prior to any construction activities. 9, sedimentation and erosion control measures on sites to be maintained in compliance with the proposed site plan and current guidelines subject to field review by the commission's engineer. 10, it is the responsibility of the owner applicant to ensure capability of communications with the fire department and EMS. 11, site plan approval expires if the work is not completed within 5 years from the date of approval. 12, 3 Woodruff Hill Road, Lot 5 shall be encumbered by an easement in favor of 7 Woodruff Hill Road, Lot 6 for the purpose of ingress and egress in a form approved by the town attorney and recorded prior to any mortgage financing on 3 Woodruff Hill Road. Site plan approval expires on, and again, the dates necessary.
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate it. All right, so we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries both applications. So, Mr. Bouchard and Mr. Baker, I think you guys are all set.
Good
Thank you
luck,
very
guys.
much.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Right. Okay, moving on with the agenda. We have new business, schedule a public hearing, none. And then new business, we have a few items to talk through. The first is Z-. Sorry, did somebody say something?
Mm-mm.
Oh, I thought I heard something. So
I heard it too.
I think it was people leaving, Mr. Commissioner.
What was that?
I think it was people leaving the meeting,
That might have been it, just disconnecting. Okay.
as shocking as that is.
So, okay, the first item of new business is Z-16-028, Oxford Greens Phase 4 East, owner and applicant, Timberlake Investment Partners, request for extension of the expiration date. And everybody should have that in their packet. It's basically a note asking for a 5-year extension. Was originally set to expire on June 14th, 2021. They're asking for exception an extension to June 14th, 2026. Is there any discussion anybody has regarding this in terms of, problems with just going ahead and making the extension?
I don't know if we should give them a whole 5 years. They had 5 years initially and they haven't done anything with it. And,
Mr. Chairman?
Hold on, I didn't want to cut off Pat.
Oh, sorry.
And, maybe we should give them like just a 2 year, and if they need more, they can come back and ask for, another couple of years. I don't know, just giving them 5 years off the top is the best idea. Personal opinion.
Dave, I have a question.
Actually, Brett was next. I wanted to make sure Pat had wrapped up his.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay,
Just
Brett, you're
a quick, thank you, I appreciate it. Just a quick question. So, this approval predated me, and I was just curious, was the 5 years ago the original request, and now they're asking for some 5-year extension, or is this even before some longer length of time ago, and we've already extended it? So how old is this?
I believe this would be his first extension, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think.
That's what I was thinking too, when I was going back and looking.
So how old is it? Just quite honestly, I'm just curious if
It was
anybody has any
approved
idea.
actually
2000.
a little bit further in your packet, Brett. There's a letter documenting the motion that on June 7th, 2016, where it was made.
Oh, okay,
So-
I see
so
that.
this-
Thank you.
This would be their first extension. To your other question, and also to Pat's comment, and Pete, I did not forget, I'll circle back.
That's
But since we
fine.
have Attorney McSherry on the phone, is it standard, Kevin, that 5 years is the standard request, or and is there is there precedent? Is it okay to be able to apply a shorter time frame if we felt that was warranted, or is 5 kind of the standard and the norm to go? So I just, if you could expand on that a little bit.
Well, the norm is to ask for the maximum extension, so you don't come back and bother the commission for another extension in the next remainder of the 5-year period. So it's not unusual to ask for the full 5 years. And in my practice on the private side, we always ask for the maximum number, because the intent is to get it done as soon as you can, but you don't want to have to come back to the commission on the last day of the second year and saying, we need another year of extensions. I would say the typical policy should be, unless the commission wants to do something different, would be grant the full 5 years.
Thank you. Pete, you were next up with a question.
No, I was just gonna ask you if we can table this until our next meeting, because the other commissioners aren't here that know all about the Oxford Greens. There's only 2 of us actually here that have been through the whole thing, myself, Pat, and I
Oh.
believe.
Jess is trying to get your.
I know.
I know, and you're ignoring me, but Bob Smith is sitting right here, and he can answer any questions that you have about when it was approved, the extension, why they need the extension, and things like that.
I saw Bob sitting there. I just.
Well,
ignored-
we have to recognize him. He could answer. You guys are all asking questions, and he's sitting there not being able to answer. So I wanted to say, Bob's here if you have any questions.
For my edification, who's Bob Smith?
And that was going to be my follow-up question as well, too, because there was no way to recognize. Bob, hi, it's nice to meet you. Who are you?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Robert Smith. I am a managing member of Timberlake Investment Partners. If I could kind of give you a little background of what's happened out there. So we've been finishing up phase 4. It took us longer than we thought. We thought this section of the work would have started a couple years ago. And, there's this economy has been through so many gyrations. However, now the housing market really picked up. We just sold out of phase 4 just in the last 6 months. So everything is sold there but the model units. And they'll sell those at the last on their way out. So this phase is really staged to go now. And we think it would start within the next 12 months. We could never finish it in 2 years. To make the capital investment we need to make in the road, knowing we only have a 2-year life, would be financially difficult. Banks wouldn't accept that. So we really do need the 5 years to start it, build the 39 houses and sell them and close them, and then begin to move to the next phase. Again, we tried to guess when this phase would be applicable in the market based on the absorption we were seeing in phase 4 at the time. Things got a little slower there. Certainly the pandemic for a while really did slow them down, but then all of a sudden it just took off and they did sell out. So there is nowhere to go. This is the next phase to go. It's going to happen because there's nothing else to build and sell without it. But again, we would have a very difficult time financing this without the 5-year extension.
All right, then we'll go with 5 years.
Thanks, Pat.
Yep.
Pat, you and I have been doing this for 20 years.
I know, we've been playing this game a long time.
We're trying, Pat. We really are.
And Mr. Chairman, I honestly don't have any reason why granting a 5-year extension is any concern, so.
To Pete's point, about tabling, and we're welcome to discuss that. I think that we're in an environment where there's always going to be turnover on any commission, including this one. And it's, unless there was some sort of pressing matter that required us to go back and do research or get additional consulting, I don't think it would be the right approach to table this, simply because some commissioners aren't here. Along those lines. So Pete, those are my thoughts before you if you were thinking about making a motion to table it, that would be my thoughts going out there regarding that.
Dave,
The only reason I brought that up, the only reason I brought it up is because you have 3 commissioners that know nothing about the Oxford Greens application, and I figured they might want to go to town hall and take a look at it before they vote on something they don't know what they're talking, what they're looking at.
Okay.
But if you guys are comfortable with it.
Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I ask a question then?
Actually, Dan was up next.
Okay, sorry.
oh, I was just going to say essentially probably the same thing that everyone else was saying. I don't see any problem with moving forward with this. I think the 5-year extension is it just needs to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Jesse, did you want to weigh in at all?
No, I mean, honestly, I wasn't around for any of this, and I really, I kind of it's new to me, so I really don't have anything at the time. I mean, I actually don't think that there's an issue with granting the extension.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead, Brett.
So then for those members who haven't been around to understand exactly what this is, could Bob or Pete or somebody address exactly what it is we're talking about then?
Yeah, I have some plans if you'd like to see. Give you a sense of what's happening.
It's up to the chairman.
Yeah, if you have something handy you wanted to share, sure. Jess, are you able to open up the screen sharing?
Me? Oh, we had to do this last time, didn't we?
While we're waiting for that, could you describe for us exactly what it is we're talking about?
Sure. So this is just a small phase. We at Oxford Greens, it's about 800 units. We've been building this for a very long time through different economic cycles, obviously. And each phase, we come to you for approval for each phase as we move through the project. Because obviously we couldn't build them all in 5 years, it would be impossible. So we have what's called a conceptual approval, which is what you see here. I don't know, can you see that, guys?
Not yet.
It's
Not
coming
yet,
up.
but it's coming. There it is.
Okay.
So there's a whole project. The square is the phase we're talking about. It's only 39 homes. And it's the next phase that was approved. Again, we have a conceptual site plan approval for the whole site, and then we come in for the specific full approval on a phase-by-phase basis. So we kind of have to guess when we think we'll be able to start and finish these based on the market at the time. Markets change. Things went slower than we thought. Now they've picked up quite well. We missed the timing a little bit. We do need the full, 5 years to get through it safely. But it's just a small phase. The next phase at Oxford Greens, it's really all it is. All the stuff you see above it, none of that's approved yet. It's not fully approved yet. It has a conceptual. This one has the full site plan approval. And we're just asking to continue it so we can get started on it within this year. And it's just 39 units out of all those you see up there. It's a very small section of Oxford Greens.
This is 4 East. This is when you split it, a few years back?
Correct.
Okay, now I got it.
Smaller bites because, the absorption was so slow, we couldn't take on a bigger piece. This was right, this is 2016, kind of just coming out of the financial crisis and all that. So,
Right.
we couldn't do like 200 units in 5 years. We wouldn't have been able to do it. So we cut it down a little bit so that we can get in and get out and then move to the next one with the 5-year time frame. So it's a little smaller piece of the site.
Got it. So you say you couldn't do that in 2 years anyhow, right? To 5.
No.
Yeah, so might as well give you the 5 years then. Why
It's
come
very-
back again?
Very standard request, like Kevin mentioned. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts on this. It's not one building, it's 39.
Right.
And the other key point that was mentioned, and it's very clear that Bob mentioned it, financing. Banks won't look at you. Oh, you only have 2 years to do this? You won't finish. We don't want to finance it. They'll walk away. So you really need the 5-year window.
Right. Okay.
I'm good, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Great. Does anybody else on the commission have any questions for anybody?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay, so at this time, hearing no other questions and hearing all of the background, I would entertain a motion to grant the request for a 5-year extension that would expire on June 14th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Hey, it was nice meeting you, and thank you for jumping in there with the maps. That was very helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. See you, Pat.
Good luck.
Bye, Bob.
Good luck, bud.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay, thanks,
Excuse me,
everybody.
Dave,
Yeah, go ahead,
Dave.
Jess.
before we move on. I understand I'm staff and you want to call on all the commissioners first, but I don't like to have to raise my hand. And I try not to interrupt unless I have something valuable or that might help you to say. So, I mean, I feel silly having to do this,
Well,
and I won't interrupt you unless I think it's important.
you were in the bottom right-hand corner, so I didn't notice you at
I was
first.
hiding. You had me in the
Wait.
corner.
And the other part is that there were other people that already had started and were kind of lined up. So I wanted to give people an opportunity, and I called on you when you were actually next because I saw you waving. I had no idea who the gentleman was. He wasn't introduced and it wasn't offered, so I wouldn't even thought to involve. I thought he was, from the audience. So
I just want to, I don't interrupt lightly. That's all. I try to make sure I have something of significance to some information to give you guys.
All of your information is significant.
it is.
All right, Jess.
All right, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
You and I can talk. If there's something we need to talk about, a different sort of signal or something that was immediately relevant to something that somebody was saying. I mean, I would have no way of knowing that as well too. So
Sure.
I've never said never. You're always welcome to contribute. Steve has contributed as well too. I just take it in line from the order of people that are going to be coming in there. So if it's something that's that relevant, like that case here, we'll have to figure out a better way of making sure that we know that.
Thank you for considering it.
Okay, so next up is Z-02-267 Mountain Road Estates LLC, Great Hill Road, Meadowbrook, the 55+ residential community. We received correspondence from them that all of the units at Meadowbrook Estates have closed on or before November 2020. So the last one would have been in November 2020, and they are requesting any and all bonds be released for the above referenced project from Kathy Ekstrom. And included, if that was correspondence from Nafis and Young, regarding this. Nafis and Young Engineers is in receipt of a request for release of a performance bond. This project at that time, this was dated on September 10th of 2020. James Gallagher noted that this project was still active at the time. Several units had not yet closed. Nafis and Young recommends that the performance bond for this project be maintained for 1 year after the last closing date. And if you have any questions, yada, yada. So basically, we're in a position here where Haynes has approached us that all the units have been sold. Nafis and Young has already recommended that the bond be held for 1 year after the last closing or through November 2021. And thoughts from the commission in terms of would there be a reason to release it early, or in terms of what Nafis and Young, I go by their recommendation.
I thought in the past, and I may be wrong, but I thought in the past that we kept the 10% of the bond after these things. I don't know if that's correct or not. It's been a while.
Don't know. I don't recall that.
Do you remember, Jess?
I know we used to keep 10%, but Jim also used to put it in his letter. So,
Well, that letter was from September, and the last units were sold in November. So maybe Jim Gallagher should reassess. It should go back to Jim now to reassess because all the units have been sold.
that's up to you guys. I don't know if he intended for it to be the full amount or if he just didn't put the 10%, you know?
I'd have to go along with Pat on that one.
Yeah, I would as well. I think that's a smart way to go. Go back.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to hold up for somebody that's, he's constantly building also, so.
Does anybody else on the commission have any thoughts?
I would ask to send it back to Navy Young and ask them if we can reduce it. I mean, I know it's up to us to reduce it or not, but if it would be advisable to reduce it 10%, just to hold back on it.
So I'm reading and hearing from at least 3 of the commission members. We're looking at a motion to refer the request from Haynes to Nafis and Young to reassess the holding period and the amount and potentially the amount.
That's right.
That's what we should do.
So does somebody, okay, so is somebody making the motion?
Yeah, I made the motion. And we
All right.
recommend
Made the
10%.
motion, that second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Your motion carries. Great, thanks. So Jess, you're okay getting this back over to Jim Gallagher?
Yep, I'll send it back.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Dave, could we actually put in that letter that the commission recommends 10%? Are we saying that 10% would be fine?
I don't think we came to I don't think we concluded that 10% was the record, but I would think the motion was making, having reassess the amount that would be withheld if there was any.
Okay, sounds good.
It's reasonable.
Next up, under new business is Z19-328B, 308 Oxford Road. Owner is Little River Associates, Walter Archer. The applicant is the New England Young at Heart, Elaine Marcuccio, for a use permit. Notes here on this. And is anybody is the applicant on the call here with us tonight? No? Okay. All right. There was a number of notes here, and in my opinion, I thought quite a few moving parts that were going on here in terms of the request. Does anybody on the commission want to kick it off in terms of their initial thoughts and impressions regarding it?
Yeah, I'd like to know what is she doing here? It says a flea market, and what's the dates on it? It says hours of operation, Thursday and Friday, 11 to 3, Saturday, 10 to 3. Is that just for those 4 days? 3 days or what?
I think if you look at the back page, it says she's applying for a liquor permit.
That's one of the moving parts.
Yeah, to sell local wines.
Isn't that a state? Doesn't she have to go to the state for a liquor permit?
Both, I think. I think she has to go to the state for a liquor permit, and I think she also has to get something here from the town.
Yeah, and also, if I'm not mistaken, she got to be so far away from another establishment that sells liquor or wine. I'm not sure. I mean, this is for our attorney to take up, I guess, past my pay grade.
Mhm.
There are some regulations that should be considered. I think you've already touched on a couple of them already. It is in a commercial district, which requires outdoor sales areas to be approved, part of a special exception. And the sale of alcohol beverages need to be approved by a special exception. So we at least should be a special exception till we hear more about what this is. Some of these outdoor activities have sprung up underneath the governor's executive orders, and they've spread a little bit. But our regulations require the sale of alcohol beverages to have a special exception. We'd have to sign off on an application to the state of Connecticut, zoning enforcement officer, saying that she has a special exception from the town of Oxford to sell alcohol beverages. There may be other things as well. I looked at it quickly, but those are the things that alcohol always pops to my mind, and outdoor sales and signs and things like that are always things that come to mind in front of the regulations. They come right to the heart of things.
Kevin, does a special exception then, would that require a public hearing?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Brett.
I was going to say, I'm not confident in making any decisions on this tonight.
Mhm.
Well,
I would like to see her in front of us as well to answer questions, possibly.
Well, I agree.
don't special exceptions have to have a public hearing?
That's what I was just asking Kevin. He said yes.
Yeah.
So we have to table this, get a hold of the applicant and kind of get the proper application, because this at this point is an improper application.
Hey, Dave.
Sounds like.
I'm sorry, who said, hey, Dave?
It's Jesse Sherman.
Hi, Jesse.
Hey, Dave. I mean, I also have my opinions about this as well. I also want to include the fact that I am in the same parking lot as this business. So I guess we'd have to talk about if I should recluse myself from this entire application.
I don't think you have to make that decision right at this moment because we're not doing any deliberations, but we can talk about
Okay.
that offline and you can make that call.
Okay, perfect. I just
Fair enough.
I want to let that, I want to let the other commissioners know as well.
Yeah, and that's why when I opened it up, I was really curious about hearing everybody's kind of thoughts on this. There are a lot of moving parts between the flea market, the liquor, and everything else here. And I was a little worried about trying to go through and from an approval.
Yeah, I'm with Brett
right
as
off the
well.
bat. I don't think it's the right time to be doing that. I agree with with almost what everybody has said here. So
I think though that she's asking not for a flea market, but farm market.
Farm market, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a different animal completely. It comes under different regulations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you have two sets of regulations. You have a state farming and agriculture and the town of Oxford ordinances, which apply on this in an interesting area. So it's something that would have to be presented to the commission for you to decide whether those are applicable as well and appropriate. Just because you say you are, doesn't mean you are. So, I think we just have to be careful when something comes in, you say, yeah, it's a change of use, but then you hear all the other stuff, it's a little gray.
Yeah.
She's the one that runs that building, that store over there, doesn't she? She's the same woman at Young at Heart?
that's one of the things, Pete, I wasn't sure about.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was the same person or not.
I think it is.
I saw the
I'm sorry, I shouldn't think about it, but I believe it is.
It would be, and that's where it would help to have, if they
That
were.
is the same person.
Pardon?
That is the same person.
It is, okay.
It's the same, okay.
It's the building next to Jesse's barber shop there. And
Yeah,
wow.
and I mean, there's enough stuff here. I mean, I don't want this to be construed as making it difficult for her either, but there's enough moving parts here where we want to make sure that we're doing it right on her behalf and our behalf. I mean,
Oh,
and-
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so that's, I want to make sure that that's the impression that's being conveyed as well too.
No,
So,
no,
I mean, what I'd like to do is I want to talk to Kevin more about this offline, just about the application itself. But I do think that this should be tabled until,
you know, and
you know,
it's
until the applicant knows that it is going to require a public hearing at least, and then we can decide.
serving alcohol or just one of the vendors is going to be selling farm wine. Because there's a whole new set of regulations dealing with farm wineries and the sale of farm wine and ciders and the like. Because if you remember when, in fact, we passed a regulation last year, the year before, having to do with farm wineries and the like. So, you know, I don't know.
Yeah, but that was a winery, Pat, where they made the wine on site and then they sold it.
Exactly, this won't be on site.
And
Yeah,
and
well,
I don't know much about it either, but once you use the word agriculture, it gets shaky as well.
Yeah, I think we should table this anyhow.
Oh, very definitely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm just adding my thoughts before we close out on this, that, you know, I mean, one of the issues is she's selling the wine or is one of the vendors selling the wine? You know, that's a
Yeah.
different,
We don't know.
Okay.
and I
I'll
don't,
make a motion to table this.
I second it.
From Brett, seconded by Pete. All those in favor of tabling this?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries to table it. And Kevin, I will get with you to kind of talk about, you know, what the exact next steps we want to make.
somebody needs to contact the applicant and, you know, let her know what's going on.
Okay. We can make sure that happens. I'll coordinate with Steve and Jess on that.
Mhm.
Got it. Okay. Off to the side. All right, that wraps up new business. Next up is zoning enforcement. Steve, do you have any particular cases you, well, we know we need to hear about one, but any other things you want to talk about besides Drayton?
I put some stuff on the drive. Did you guys get a chance to read all that?
No, I did not.
I didn't see anything on the drive as of this evening. So when did you put it on?
All last week this morning. It's on the shared drive on Google. You should have one from today, last week.
The only request I would make, Mr. Chairman, is if things are put out on the drive for us to review, that, you know, we're alerted that there's something new out there for us to be prepared for, because I'm not aware when things get posted or not onto the drive.
Well, one of the things we're working on is that enforcement log where Steve has been putting on there. Steve, I know what you're talking about there. You're talking about the Pines Bridge. There were 2 items you put on Pines Bridge and also.
You guys have to do it. It's all dated and timestamped. So you probably need to look at it before the meeting.
Yeah, that should be available to everybody on the commission to see. And we're trying to get our arms around in terms of how that's going to be updated, because that should be updated on a daily basis. So, and I would expect that there would be more than 2 items on there, you know, over the course of a couple of weeks, but I know Steve is getting up to speed regarding that. But
Hey, there's 6, 7 items on it. I'm not sure which one you're looking at. There's probably 8 items on it. I don't know which one you're looking at.
I'm on Google Drive right now, so where are we talking that it's posted? I'm just curious, so I can take a look at it. What folder and/or file?
It's in enforcement spreadsheet.
Steve, would it be possible for you to run through them fast?
Yeah, there's 6 on there. I've been putting them on as I've been going along. Like, some are important, some are not. You know, some were taken care of by leaving a card, but the latest one was 13 Pines Bridge.
Yeah, I just found I found the spreadsheet. I'm looking at it right now, Steve.
Where's it, Dan?
Hang on a second. I'll tell you the route.
Yeah, because I went under zoning enforcement. I didn't see it.
Yeah, zoning enforcement, and then it's right there under zoning enforcement. You should see the enforcement spreadsheet. There's two folders under there, under the Rock Roosevelt and 117 Good Hill. And then under that are two files. One of them is that enforcement spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I'll
should
have-
have, Good Hill Road, Under the Rock, Chestnut Tree, Dutton, Fiddlehead, Pines Bridge.
It's right in the zoning enforcement though, Brett.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe my link is linking to a different file because I'm under P&Z Department Zoning Enforcement. I don't see it, but I am looking it up on my iPhone right now. So,
It's on the shared drive, Brett. You know what, I'll email it to you right now.
okay, I appreciate it.
So anyway, amount hasn't been going on, so this is new to everybody. So the last one was Pines Bridge. And the gentleman, the neighbor's been calling. I got photos, which are on the drive as well. But he leaves his trash barrels out for non-payment. I really didn't want to discuss this in an open forum, but the
No,
animals are
Steve,
getting.
Actually, you don't have to, this one doesn't necessarily have to be on there because this is kind of not at the commission level, so I don't think there's really a,
Well, David, it's kind of at the commission level because there's a lot more stuff that's happening out there. So if you guys could just read that and email me to comment, that's fine. Or if you want to discuss it now, but he's got a cottage business, you know, deck, no permit. He's running a recording studio, you know, on his property. He installed a drainage pipe, took in about 2,000 yards of material, which would require a special exception because he's over at 1,200 yards. And he put a pipe on his neighbor's property, which is icing up. So we're kind of in the loop because he should have permitted that special exception and he did not. So, you know, I have it open and it's to the commission to make a decision. I would like to pursue it because I think we should. But it should be on the drive. You guys should be able to read all this.
is there something, Steve, we should be reading besides the spreadsheet?
It's just, you know, it's just a couple paragraphs of my actions out there and what I've done and emailed and scheduled and when I'm going back.
And that's under,
Dave, I don't know. I set it up with Jessica, but you asked me to have it so everybody can look at it.
what I'm looking at, Steve, it says this: leave trash barrels out of curb filled with trash, non-payment to the trash company, animals knocking it over, cottage business, no permit, finished basement, no permit, shed being built, no permit, drainage running into neighbor's property.
Yeah, is there 6 or 7 complaints above that?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what
on other cases, yes.
So Brett doesn't have that?
Well, I'm trying to get access to it. I may have an old link, so.
All right. You know what I'll do? Before every meeting, I'll email it off to you guys so you know. Hello?
Dave, could I make a, could I ask you a question?
Go ahead, Pete.
You know, years ago, when we got a complaint, then Dave, we'd go out, like me and Pat would take a ride, take a look at it, see what was going on. And this would take Steve up when he got back in, it would take him off the hook and not knowing, just him knowing about it. You know what I'm saying? But basically, that's our job, is to go out there and take a look at a complaint to address it properly. So maybe from now on, if their complaint comes in, we can take a ride by and everybody, you know, you can see it for yourself. So we used to do that quite often. Remember that, Pat?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't have a problem if a commissioner wants to go out and do a drive-by, but I'm also sensitive to the fact that too many cooks, you know, we can't have multiple people doing zoning enforcement. So I want to.
Nobody's asking to do zoning enforcement. It was just like on East Street. How many times did the commissioners ride by East Street and take a look what we were talking about? That's what I'm talking. I'm not talking to go do Steve's job for him. I'm telling you what we put on this commission for to do. We're supposed to find out these complaints, take a ride, take a look. There is a valid complaint, then we can back Steve up. If there's not, we don't have to.
So
I'm open to that.
That's the way we used to do it. But
if
it's up
any
to you. You're
commissioner
the chair
wants to
now,
go
so.
drive by with the complaint, my concern is that I want complaints coming into a centralized location, because right now, honestly, complaints are all over the place and I really wasn't going to get into this tonight, but I'm really not happy with how the complaint process is working. It's ragged, it's undocumented. There's bits and pieces scattered all over the G drive. And I really don't have a clear picture. I mean, I have a number of questions just regarding this issue with 13 Pines Bridge, because there's no documentation anywhere to be able to reference a number of the things that Steve's put out there. And then number of past complaints as well too.
Hey, this isn't the everything is documented as you asked me to do. This is how I'm going to do it. It's not all over the place. It's been running smooth for 5 years. So I'm not sure.
All right, I'm gonna cut this off, Steve, because you and I are gonna have to discuss this
Because
offline.
really kind of insulting me. So yes, cut it off.
All right, okay, so Steve, then, so when I asked for all the Gary Franco documentation for the last 3 weeks, based upon the complaint that came in at the last meeting, I'm still waiting for my questions to be answered. So, we'll talk about this offline.
Yeah,
What I do want to hear, Steve, I want to hear an update on the Drayton property, because you did promise to have that report for us today. Steve?
He might be on mute, but I see him, but he's not speaking.
yeah.
It looked like it was coming from a different number, guys.
Yeah, he was on a mobile phone when he was in now or before.
I think,
Sorry, I tried multiple times to put that offline, and he was intent on making sure that was discussed publicly. So I apologize, folks.
no, that's all right. You guys do need to talk offline, that's all.
That's for sure.
I do have a question, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead, Pat.
And I don't know.
Let Brett go ahead, and I'll go after Brett.
Oh, I apologize, Pat. Did you ask first?
That's okay, no problem.
Okay. Well, I don't know if necessarily Steve needs to be on for this, but I'm curious about the property on 67. The thing right across from the gas station where those two buildings are just like an eyesore. Like, what is going on with those buildings?
Brett, I brought that up. I was on there for years. It was really
that was
deteriorating.
Really
And we got them to siding the place, but now it's falling back into disarray again.
Yeah,
I was going to bring that up. I was going to bring it up.
They're up for sale.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean it has to be in disarray. But what we went through the last time, Pat, with him.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
can the town do anything? Like, take it over?
We don't have a blight ordinance, and if the taxes are paid.
Eminent domain. I don't know. I'm just saying. It's just an eyesore for like 10 years.
Longer than that, I think, Brett. Longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last reasonable thing in there was Guppies.
Right. I worked for Guppies in high school. So you're looking at 2002 here, and it hasn't been anything since that. So.
Yeah, we had him siding those two buildings. We were on him for a while. He finally signed it. He was keeping it clean there for a while, but now it's fallen back into disarray. He started dumping more stuff in the yard. When I brought that up, I was told to leave it alone by a
But
certain
nobody's going to
chairman.
buy it for those buildings. You're going to tear them down. I mean, it's
Right.
like,
Exactly.
it's,
Maybe somebody should contact the owner again and give him another poke.
Yeah, I believe it's be a good idea.
How did that poke happen last time?
Constantly on his back.
Yeah, but who was constantly on his back? Was it zoning
The
enforcement?
commission.
Was it somebody else in town?
It was the commission and George Temple and Pat and myself. Was constantly on his back, brought up at meetings, and then finally he got the hit and he got it done. He's citing it and he cleaned it up good. Now, there was a 12-foot hole there before that was uncovered.
Really?
That was just laying there. And when I took a walk on that property, I seen what it was. I came back and I brought it to the commission's attention, and we worked together on that to get that done. Arnie was the chair at that time.
So we need to, I don't recall it off the top of my head. Usually when I'm 67, it's night. So I will have to get over there during the day. I'd like to take a look at it myself and see what it looks like.
oh, you'll know exactly what we're talking about when you look
Right across.
across from the gas station. You'll see those
Okay.
two buildings.
All right, we'll take a peek and we can get some pics and we could have this. I actually probably could bring it up and see if we could tag team it again with with George to go about and do something about it. That would make sense.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Pat.
Okay. Relative to the Drayton property,
Mhm.
we have a situation, I think, there of unintended consequences. On Northeast Horticulture is clearing the lot
You're on
across
mute.
the town hall that's going to be the nature preserve.
Correct.
Okay, the owner has offered firewood to anyone in town who wants them.
Yes.
Okay, because of our restriction on Jeff Drayton, okay, he can't take advantage of that offer, and neither can his mother, because they have this, because a truck going in there full of firewood is going to get everybody up in arms again. And I think this is why, you know, we've got to be careful when we lay out these restrictions, because there are unintended consequences. So we've stopped a citizen or two citizens from being taken to take advantage of a situation that anybody should be able to take advantage of.
I understand what you're saying, and I actually have a conversation. We'll be meeting with, I think it's Stacy Morrell is the lady's name.
Yes.
With Northeast Horticulture, and I'm going to be meeting with her in the next day or two. My understanding for that proposal out there, I think it was put out there more from a residential type of standpoint, which would not have precluded Mary Ann from getting any firewood.
But the truck would have to go in the driveway because of the way the properties are. I don't know if you've been out there yourself, but the way the properties are, the truck would have to go in the same driveway where Jeff was getting his load of wood.
Right.
So if somebody saw that, you know, we'd be all over it again. And that's my concern, is that, you know, the unintended consequences.
I hear you.
Because I'm sure given Mary Ann's age, that her son would be the one who was splitting the wood for her anyway.
It's a unique circumstance, and who would have thought that, you know, that this type of project would have that sort of impact. Have we heard from Mr. Drayton that he
No,
missed
I
that?
have not heard from Jeff Drayton. No.
No, and I know there's no more, and I know that she said she had way too many requests for it. I mean, it went very, very quickly.
I asked for
in terms
some.
of what she's going to be bringing in. Helping.
Well, I'll tell you what, people got to get their chainsaws. You can come over to my house.
Yeah, I know. You're right about that.
We've got a couple of hundred trees down.
Yeah. No, I know she did say she had way more requests than she ever, you know, would ever be able to be able to give to. But it's a good point, though, and I mean, I'd like to think we're flexible enough that in that type of situation, if if that offer was made again, and Jeff or Mary Ann came to us and said, "Hey, listen, we want to take advantage of it for this reason or whatever," I don't think there's anybody in the commission that would say no. We would definitely say absolutely go ahead. You know, in that type of scenario.
Agreed.
But I'm just saying that, you know, when we do something like saying that, you know, no truck can bring wood into that property, you know, that's broad, you know, and it has unintended consequences.
That's what I brought up the last time at the meeting. We should have some kind of back door for emergencies purposes, you know?
Well, yeah, we brought up about the emergency purposes, and I think everybody on the commission was open to that for emergency purposes. I don't think anybody closed that back door. I thought when we said no wood coming on there, we were also very clear that no trucks bringing in wood for external processing to be a logging operation. That's
right.
What what the verbiage was. I'd have to go back and double check.
Right.
You know, regarding how we said that.
If he's using his, you know, if he's using his splitter on his mother's wood or other wood from the property, how do we distinguish? How do we, it just, it's just tricky. And it's just,
They're splitting hairs.
and there's a fairness thing in there that, probably has nothing to do with the law, but, we've got to
Right.
be.
And yeah, I would love to be able to catch every potential exception. I think also, I mean, yeah, something like that comes up, I think we'd be more than happy to talk about it. It's one of the reasons why we asked Steve to be going out there every 2 weeks and coming back and reporting, what the property looks like and what's happening, because we would be able to assess if, what was happening in that type of scenario, if the one versus the other was happening. But point duly noted, Pat. I'm not arguing with you. I see exactly where you're coming from. I just don't know how you catch every single possible.
Well, no, you can't what if every conceivable scenario. It's
But
just,
it's a good point.
I guess my concern is too often, and not just with that one, but with other things, they're neighbor issues.
What? I'm
Somebody
sorry?
goes by a piece of property. They didn't like that the garbage can was knocked over, or they didn't like that there was a trampoline in the yard. So the next thing you know, they file an anonymous complaint. Starts this whole ball rolling. And, a lot
Pat,
of times,
did you read my comment on February 17th about what we're talking about up there? I was out
Are you
there
back on, Steve?
What?
I didn't realize you would jump back on.
Yeah, I lost you. So no, I went out there 2 weeks ago and I wrote in the log what I saw. He has not brought in anything new at all.
Well,
took
I wasn't-
photos.
I wasn't.
They should be up the drive.
When I was making some general statements, and it's not on you. I wasn't criticizing you
Oh,
at
no,
all.
I know that.
I'm just
I know
thinking in terms of we have to, we have to think. I mean, there's people that want to have, the use of their property. And, sometimes, there is an annoying neighbor involved. It's not always the perpetrator, if you will. That's the problem.
No, I get it. I wrote it all down.
Sometimes the complainers are the ones that are being overly aggressive.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like, it's not like we're living in Greenwich on Millionaires Row,
I get it.
I'm sure every one of us, if we looked hard, we can find a quote unquote violation on our properties.
Oh, absolutely.
Just
Not mine. I go by the book.
All right.
No,
but, no,
your property.
but all joking aside, I just wanted to share a feeling. It has nothing to do with, any of the legal aspects or anything else. It's just a feeling I've had that sometimes, we need to look a little deeper into these things to, see exactly what's going on.
Mhm.
Because quite often you've got one neighbor complaining about the other neighbor. And by the time you go there and, it just gets the town involved in something it shouldn't be involved in.
Mhm.
This is what it boils down to. Neighbors not liking each other are not something that we have regulations about.
Exactly. No, you're absolutely right. We run into that way more than we have to.
And, like the Democrats, so every week I go over and check out his property, make sure that he doesn't have any violations.
Watch it. There's only 2 against 4.
So Steve, since you're back on and we were just talking about it, and it's still, from the purpose of, what we had talked about, we agreed that, when was the last time you went out to Drayton's property since the last meeting?
I walked the property on February 17th, site visit, piles have gone down. I did not notice any new stuff. There are no new logs, no new wood piles, photos enclosed. Wood piles getting smaller. We have letters from Mrs. Drayton. Wood piles have gone down a lot. Property looks good.
So you went out
on
the day
there.
after the last meeting. Okay.
That's on the drive. So when I drove by it today, and I haven't seen any new trucks out there or anything.
Okay, great. So we have been out there. Okay, great. So then we'll get another one for the next meeting. Thank you.
I don't know how long, we all drive by there. I've got to walk way back in the woods, but I don't, see any new tracks going in there in the snow.
And that's what we're looking for. I mean, I'm not saying spend an hour or two going back to county logs or looking. You basically, you should be able to, be able to see pretty quickly if there's something going on we need to know about, or come back and say, no, I visited and everything's status quo. So that's ideal. One of the things that came out of, from a zoning enforcement perspective, that came out of the meeting last time and was, I had a directive from the commission, was regarding Gary Franco. And I had a meeting with Jeff Luff regarding the trucks being parked on Gary Franco's property, propane truck allegedly as well too. There are no trucks there. There was a couple of boom trucks there, and they have already been moved to the Beacon Falls property. They had been moved temporarily to the Oxford property because they were clearing snow and making the parking lot accessible so he could get them back over to Beacon Falls. So I'm not sure where the complaint had come into Pete, but that was what the situation is. And Gary also has signed a letter of commitment, and he's buying property in the industrial zone as well too, and everything is going to ultimately end up there. But I went through and I took pictures of the property because we didn't have any that showed that everything was cleared up and everything, and it's clean. So that's what I wanted to make sure the commission knew about that. Are there any other questions regarding zoning enforcement? Okay, hearing none. Okay, no, somebody said something. Next up is minutes. We did have some minutes for February 2nd. Everybody get a chance to look at them?
Excuse me, Dave.
Yeah.
Now that Steve's back on, maybe you want to, Brett would like to ask him about that property on 67 near the gas stations.
You know what, we kind of, it's kind of stretching in a little bit late, and we already just kind of talked about it for a few minutes ourselves. Why don't I go back to Steve offline and we can talk about that.
All right. Sounds
Okay.
good.
Plus we have the meeting recordings. They're going to be available in the next day or so, and he'll be able to hear that as well.
Cool.
Okay.
No
Just
problem.
for the sake of, from a time standpoint too. So the meeting minutes were for February 2nd. Did anybody have any questions, or are we okay to move those along?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That's good. And Jess, I know you said the 216 minutes were just about wrapped up, so we'll get them next meeting. Invoices, I don't see any. Other business. Brett, do you want to take a moment or two? I brought up about the work you were looking at the website. I didn't know if you wanted to mention that again. To see if anybody else wanted to take a look at your.
Sure. I mean, I wasn't prepared to show anything to anybody, but I went through our webpage, essentially on the town website, and if maybe you know or don't know, I used to be the website administrator for the town of Oxford, so I was responsible for the town's website. I worked closely with Margaret. Margaret is now our website person to keep the town website updated. I noticed that our planning and zoning pages are very out of date. And I think we can really bring them to the next level by creating some web forms, let's say for complaints and things like that. There's forms that are missing. We've got a lot of documents that could be updated, hours that need to be updated, etc. So I went through it pretty in depth, and I made notes of all the things that I found. I'd be happy to take the lead and start to work on, some of this stuff with Margaret. But if anybody, wants to help, just to talk about things, I'm open to that. I leave that up to the chairman, though, to determine what we're going to do with it, because some of the stuff that I would say might need some development from our website developer, which means I'd have to work with Margaret and the website company directly to sort of design what it is we're looking to do and talk about certain things. But beyond that, that's really all I'll have to say on it, other than the fact that we need to really upgrade our pages.
Yeah. And yeah, he has some really good ideas he put together in terms of feedback, and it'd be nice if, we can get another set of eyes just to kind of look and say, yes, that makes sense, and everything as well too. That's all. I mean, I shot a couple of ideas over, is there anybody else that was interested in kind of, providing feedback and another set of eyes?
And if not, it's not a big deal. Nobody has to volunteer, and nobody's being put on the spot, because I'm happy to do this on my own. I don't want to be done in a vacuum, essentially.
Right, exactly, which is why I wanted to throw it out there. All right, and if not, then that's fine. Brett, you and I can go with this, and we'll work it from there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Brett.
Yep.
No, I appreciate you. I know you put a lot of time into that too, so thank you. The Moose Hill Estates, Kevin, I know you copied me on an email today regarding that.
Right. Basically, I sent an email to the applicant's attorney indicating that the town of Oxford will be looking at their request and making a decision. If the town of Oxford makes a request of the commission will look at the 8-24 that we get from the town and make a decision whether we're going to make a favorable or negative referral back to the town. And then the town would have to decide whether it wants to take it from there to a town meeting to be approved. I also spoke to Kevin Condon about it, and he and the Board of Selectmen will discuss it. It's really nothing we can do until someone sends something to us. We're the agency who waits. So we're going to be waiting for the town to do something. And if they decide to do it, it'll be after finding out exactly what's going on. Like the commission wished to know, what are they going to do with that land if they unwind it?
Very good. So I think we have it in the place we want it to be right now.
Yeah. And Attorney McTaggart did respond to me, asking me the question, well, when will the Oxford Town Board of Selectmen make a decision? I haven't responded yet. I don't know what the answer to that question is.
That would be something you need to direct to the town to be able to address. So that makes sense. Good.
And I see the next item, Riverview subdivision. I'm still waiting on the maps from Herbal and Judson. Haven't received anything yet or any information from them. I know they're working towards getting that resolved, but as soon as we hear something, they'll probably file it at the office of the Planning and Zoning Commission, and we'll move forward.
Okay, very good. Nope, that's fine. I appreciate you keeping an eye on both of those. Thank you.
You bet.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is Elaine Marcusio. I had trouble calling in. I don't know, it kept telling me it was busy or something. And I didn't know what to do, so I just wanted to call in. I know you're at the end.
Yeah, and thank you for jumping on.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. And thank you. For
I don't know if what I was doing.
Yeah, what we're gonna do, we actually tabled it. The application, there's some things we want to kind of talk to you about, and we're going to talk to you offline. We'll give you a shout and kind of go through some of the things that we discussed, so you know exactly what's happening, because there's going to be a different approach we just have to take with this. We want to, your application had a number of moving parts, and we want to make sure that it's done right, by the town and also for you, so that way we have right I's dotted and the right T's crossed, and it works. So we just have to figure out the best way to doing that, and we'll be talking to you offline.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Getting on late.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you for, okay. Have a good night.
Absolutely. Enjoy your evening.
You too.
Thanks. Bye, Elaine.
Bye.
The only other item that I had on my list here in terms of other business was, I think the seminar is this Saturday. So just a reminder for those people that had signed up. Got my package in the mail, light reading material, I can say. And
Yeah.
that's basically about it. Was there anything else anybody on the commission wanted to bring up under other business?
Good.
I see a hand and I'm not going to ignore it. Jess, go. It's all you. It is all you.
But you're muted.
You're muted. We can't hear you. Jess.
You're muted.
Craig.
What?
Everybody wave.
Muted.
Sorry. I
There
did
you
that.
go.
Sorry about that. I was
Hey, she's
asking
not even
Kevin.
listening to you.
Get a group wave. I know she's ignoring. See how hard it is when somebody's waving? You don't say
I
it.
know.
You can't, I know. Next time I'm gonna say, pay attention to me. I need attention. But I was gonna say to Kevin, I don't know if you ever went to the land use law seminar.
Yes, I have been to it. Yeah.
Okay, because I have the link if since I know you're laid up and you're not doing anything Saturday, if you want to zoom in on it, I can send you the link.
Why don't you send me the link? It'd be worthwhile to see what they're talking about these days.
Yeah, I think they updated a few things. I was looking through the book like a nerd at a
Not
time.
you.
So, all right, I'll send you the link.
Thank you, Jess.
Yep. So that's all I wanted to do is invite Kevin.
Well, anything else from anybody else?
Yeah, Dave, I got a question. You just told this, what's her name, Elaine or something? You're gonna talk to her offline about her application?
No, we said we were gonna reach out and let her know that we probably would need a public hearing, and I was gonna talk to Kevin offline, but I wasn't gonna go through that right now at this stage of the meeting. We can tell, we already had agreed to, that somebody was gonna reach out to her, regarding the application and what we were looking at.
Okay, that's all I want to make sure.
There's not gonna be any deliberations or anything like that, or anything along those lines.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. Not hearing anything else, then it's 8:55, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm not even asking if anybody's opposed. Everybody have a great night.
Good night.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night, guys.
Bye-bye.
You know,
Thanks.
come on.
All right.
There we go.
I got,
Oh,
thanks, everybody.
see, have a good night.